We'll warm up.
Rob is. Well, I need to ask you, John, before Rob unveils himself, the bow tie that he's constructing.
Rob's not here.
did he tie it himself, or is he a coward and got one of those clip-on bow ties? What do you think, John?
I want to say Rob knows how to tie a tie.
No, bow tie. I'm saying.
A bow tie. I feel like a bow tie is actually quite difficult to tie. No.
Super hard. That's why I said, is he a coward or not? I want to know from your advice.
I don't know if I would call him a coward, but I feel like he should know how to tie a bow tie. It's like general white guy knowledge, no?
Whoa, General. Whoa, no. The reviews reflected by John Ho do not reflect the views of myself. Or no. What kind of thing is that?
So wait, you guys are okay. So Stu, you think I'm wearing a bow tie, and John, do you think I'm wearing anything?
I hope so. we're gonna go.
I don't think you could tie a bow tie. I don't think you're gonna go that extra mile. But I would be eloquently surprised if you did. We'll find out once you reveal yourself.
I definitely did not.
Oh. That's so close. Come on.
No, I Daniel Craig'd it in the desert of Morocco. No tie. Walking. Yeah, and how's your T-shirt?
You don't want the brown suit, the brown beach outfit?
Yeah.
I was going to say
though, I am wearing shorts.
or track pants.
No, shorts. I'm still wearing shorts.
I will say the outfits were pretty fire in this movie, but we'll
But I would like to say that the day that you do the No Time to Die review, I was going to send Rob messages today going, we need to get the suits from Dumb and Dumber. And then we do that. But unfortunately, Facebook and all everything went down today, so I wasn't able to coordinate. I'm like, Rob, where can I get? I was gonna let you choose between bright orange and baby blue because I'm a giver. I'm a team player. So you'll make your choice next time, and we can rock out to both the Dumb and Dumber suits to our review of No Time to Die when we do the retrospective from a year from now on the Sidekick Show.
I think we're gonna have to do a special No Time to Die review.
Yeah.
And I look.
Yeah, I assume we're doing that on the main show, or we'll follow it up here.
We'll see.
Or when we do a retrospective and we rate the movies from like worst.
Oh my god, you have 25 movies.
John, I want to your ratings of all the Daniel Craig movies. That's my thing today. I want to know the 4 Daniel Craig movies, where they fall.
Yeah, maybe
we'll talk about that after
we'll
Rob.
Have to get to that. Welcome everybody to the Sidekick Show. I am John. We've got very special guest Stu here. My daughter here drinking juice, and we've got that guy who was a kite in a tornado. Rob Godet.
Hey, what's going on?
Rob, no tie, Godet. Is that a white shirt or a pinkish?
It's
shirt,
pink. It's a pinkish shirt. I guess the ring light probably washes it out, but it's a pink shirt, John. It's salmon. Salmon's a very strong fish, as per that commercial from a few years ago.
I want the record to show that I'm drinking gin, and that is juice. So
gin and juice tonight on Monday. So welcome back, folks. Anyone who is like me noticed a big social media outage. Most of these guys with real jobs probably got off work and didn't notice a damn thing. They're like, what are you talking about? Everything's fine. Everything works. So welcome. Thank you for giving us your Monday night. We're here to talk about James Bond 007, the 24th movie.
Yes, sir.
Was it 24th? Yeah, yep. 24th movie, Spectre, aka worst Bond movie ever. But we're gonna get into it.
I'm gonna slap the stupid out of you.
Categories are gonna be light, folks. So the preview is gonna be why this movie sucks and what sucks least about it. But
I don't think you've seen that many Bond films, so I would like to say that what I'm calling you out for is you've probably only seen 4 Bond films. Yeah. So in your mind,
you can rank it amongst the Daniel Craigs. Everything else, I definitely can't because I definitely tried to go backwards.
Your recollection is uncles watching Bond movie. You walked in the room, you probably stayed 5 minutes and left, and that was probably the Bond movie. If I was to give that would be probably License to Kill. Would be the movie with Timothy Dalton. Is the one that you probably saw. License to Kill was on TV more.
I recall a truck with a tanker on the back.
Yep, License to Kill.
Yeah,
That's
it.
There you go, buddy.
I do recall the submarine car. I do recall the submarine car. That might have been
1989, and that is probably the one that fits the most in John's wheelhouse.
I actually think John, if he thinks Spectre's bad, then he really needs to watch A View to a Kill, because that is undoubtedly probably the worst James Bond movie, even worse than Moonraker. But we're not here to talk about the entire 24, coming up to 25 Bond movies of all time. We are talking about Spectre tonight. And so before we get into that, first of all, thanks to everybody who is joining us live on YouTube. Maybe if you're trying to get onto your Facebook link, it might not be working. In some parts, Facebook is still down in certain areas, so I don't know what's happening there, but isn't just kind of a little bit quieter today, and it was a little bit nicer, I gotta say. But before we get into Spectre and everything else, John, you have got what's coming out in the store this week, do you not?
No, I don't.
Wicked. So here I am with stuff for the news.
Okay, yeah. So check out our Instagram, Facebook. I always post the new comic book releases we're getting,
today, you
as
didn't.
well as some of the. I did post it. Oh well, it was posted first thing in the morning, and then Facebook went down, so y'all didn't see it. But it's there. It's there now. If Instagram or Facebook were working, I think I did also post it on the website, so you can go to the website as a backup. Amazing Spider-Man 75 is out, as well as a whole bunch of other fun titles. So check that out. And we are hopefully getting the new Pokemon anniversary stuff. It's going to be very, very limited. So if you already haven't spoken to me, it might be too late. But you can always hit me up and we can try something. So Rob, hit us with this news.
All right, guys. So I've got a little bit of news items. First, we're going to start off with what happened this past weekend. Venom 2 crushed at the box office opening weekend. It ranked in at the highest pandemic weekend opening this year. Also, I believe set an October record. It pulled in $90.1 million domestically this past weekend. That is huge numbers for Venom 2. I'm sure Sony and Andy Serkis are quite happy. It's a 90-minute movie, so there is something to be said about a movie being able to make that much money, because you can throw on about 20 different showtimes throughout a day when it's only 90 minutes. I know I saw it. I know John saw it. I know Stu has no interest in seeing it in the theater.
Stu, it is a masterpiece. You must see this film.
And now this is where it goes to, when John says that Spectre is the worst movie and he calls Venom 2 a masterpiece, right then and there, John's point of view is completely unrelatable and unimportant. Right? Like, John and I need to do.
John says the cake is a lie, and at this point.
John and I need to do a review. I think we're on polar opposites spectrums. But if you saw Venom 2,
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
Let us know what your thoughts are. Okay, anyways, speaking of things being afire, the internet was afire this weekend after rumors surfaced that Marvel is looking to softly reboot some of its Marvel Netflix shows, particularly Daredevil and Jessica Jones, and they're looking at bringing back Charlie Cox and the girl from Jessica Jones. I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Kristen Ritter.
Kristen Ritter, thank you. They're looking to bring them back into the MCU fold. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, guys? I mean, do you think that this is viable? We've obviously heard this long gestating rumor that Charlie Cox appears in No Way Home as Matt Murdock. At this point, everybody's appearing in No Way Home. I think even Nicholas Hammond from the 78 Spider-Man specials is appearing in No Way Home. Like, what do you guys think about Marvel soft rebooting Daredevil with Charlie Cox? Yay or nay?
Everything but the kitchen sink is appearing in that Spider-Man movie. Sure, why not? Especially in this age, the age of release the Snyder Cut, fan demands getting kind of what they want. It seems to be the trend. So why not?
To be fair, the Multiverse of Madness is going even double down. So whatever Spider-Man does, they're like, you know what? We're going to go even higher with even more crazy, zany cameos, including that leaked photo of Professor X. And you're like, you got to be kidding me. What is going on here? So,
but are you guys down for Charlie Cox reprising his role, or do you think they need to, if they're going to do a reboot of Daredevil under the MCU, that they need to recast?
I believe there's an Academy Award winner who's available now, who was Batman, who could easily
he was also Daredevil back in the day.
He could easily be Daredevil.
He could reprise his role.
I'm all down with him. Why not? Why not? Why not?
Yeah, he's an older, grizzled Daredevil.
Not like he's going to be doing Batman anytime soon. So,
well, that's true.
That's what you say now.
He's free and he's available.
Speaking of Ben Affleck, he was part of obviously as the Snyderverse and the DCEU. Well, in 2 weeks' time, we get DC Fandom, which will be they've just actually today unveiled their entire roster of all their creators, artists, writers, directors, movie stars who are going to be appearing and talking about their projects coming up, whether it's on the TV, the big screen, or in books. The one person you're not going to see, though, appearing this weekend is James Gunn. And you might be like, well, why would they? He just did Suicide Squad. Well, this weekend, James Gunn pretty much confirmed that he has a top secret DC project that he will be working on as soon as he finishes Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and then the holiday special. He's jumping back into the DCEU for a top secret project that will not be announced at the upcoming fandom. All right, so hot take. Those in the chat, or you guys, Stu and John, what is James Gunn working on that's top secret? What movie project is he going to be doing?
Isn't that just going to be another Suicide Squad? Like, I feel like he's like...
I think he has been... So here's my take. He was consulting with Marvel on all the space stuff. So he was the guy before he got fired for the tweets that came out 10 years ago.
Yep.
I think he might pick up where Ava DuVernay left off and then take over all the weird, the mother boxes, all, Apocalypse, basically pick up everything that she dropped, because he's shown the propensity to do weird stuff with Suicide Squad and go full in. Why not go full in and do what Ava DuVernay was not able to do because of creative differences? Because I think she wanted the New Gods to be something, and I think James Gunn has enough clout that if he wanted to do his version of the New Gods, he could get it done. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's a TV show instead of a series or instead of a movie, but maybe that's it. Okay. Rob?
What's his forte other than the superhero movies? Like, is he like horror? Is it horror?
Yeah. He can't be, because J.J. Abrams has already been given the reins to Justice League Dark, so he's not doing that one. And Constantine is already in different things as well. So
what about Swamp Thing? Yeah, I was going to say Swamp Thing or something like that.
Well, see, here's where I would actually disagree with Stu, only because I think optically Ava DuVernay was very much wanting New Gods to go forward, and DC/Warner said, we're not going forward on your project. I don't think optically it would look good if they gave it then to a Caucasian guy. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to say
that she's busy with Bridgerton and she's an EP and whatnot. That's like
I'm going to say Superman. I'm going to say James Gunn helming a Superman movie, because
they would give him Superman after Suicide Squad. You crazy? No, man. You got to give him the weird stuff. You can't give him Superman. No. They did it already when they gave Bryan Singer Superman, and that did not work out well either.
He had emo.
And that dude won Oscars, did he not? Or it was, at least it was our tour for Usual Suspects. So,
Yeah, for screenplay. All right. And finally, now this is something that's probably going to make Stu finally have his tear ducts reconnect and shed a small tear. But on October the 16th, I believe, Captain Kirk himself, William Shatner, famous Canadian William Shatner, will finally, for real this time, enter space as he boards Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin, the next flight, which comes out later this month. Now, that's the spaceship that looks like a giant wang or a dong or whatever type of phallic. It looks like the ship, actually, from Man of Steel when they went up into the negative zone. So
those coffins?
That's right.
Are you Rob, wait, let me get this straight. You are negating the greatest scene in any comedy show or movie ever by this. Do you know the scene I'm talking about in the movie where they talk about the giant rocket that's shaped like a Johnson and all the other things, the jokes in it?
That's not Spaceballs, is it?
No. Famous Canadian also in this movie.
Okay.
Plays a British spy.
Oh, right, the Austin Powers. That's right.
Austin Powers when he
it was the drill, though. It was the drill that went down, and it looked like the giant phallic penis. But at any rate, Captain Kirk himself will be rocketing up into space. I don't know how much time he is spending up there, because Blue Origin's first flight that happened back in August, I think, they were only up there for like 2 hours or an hour, and then they came back down. Apparently, this one will last a little bit longer, not quite a full day, maybe about 9 hours or so. But there we go. Captain, who's like 91 years old. I got to tell you, he doesn't look like he's 90, but this guy is boarding the spaceship and off he goes with Jeff Bezos from Amazon. So I figured that would bring a little tear to Stu's heart to see Captain Kirk finally enter the throes of space. And that is the news. All right. Thanks.
All right. You should have closed with the masterpiece that was Venom instead. But we're gonna talk about, speaking of masterpieces,
what is
we're
wrong
gonna go
with
the
you?
Opposite direction now. And are we gonna jump on Spectre yet?
Can you just tell me truly, do you really think Venom 2 is that good?
I do.
Or
I
are you just like, because I sent this to you offline. I said, you're just like my son. You say shit just to annoy me. Like,
did your son enjoy it?
He thought it was okay. He didn't overly enjoy it. He thought it was okay. Which is,
I think he's humoring you, so he wants to be cool in your eyes. He's like, "Oh, Dad didn't like it. I'm gonna downplay it." You do not know
my son, because he would never work hard to look to be cool in my eyes. I can assure you.
Oh man, maybe you just harshed his excitement.
My heart is mellow.
yeah, harshed his mellow. You damaged his calm. I don't know what the damn phrase is. But if you haven't watched the Heroes World podcast, we did do the Heroes World podcast on Sunday, or released it on Sunday. What If episode 8? We got one more to go.
Thank God.
And most of us are thankful that we're done with What If after that.
What if we didn't have to watch this anymore? Along with What If, we also talked about, Stu threw out an interesting question, like to give us a recommendation of a TV show that we haven't mentioned on the show before, something that we would recommend for you guys to watch. And there's a eclectic group of answers that were thrown out. So definitely recommend, if you guys haven't seen yesterday's Heroes World podcast show, what are you doing? Like, after this show, go over to the YouTube channel, check it out, and let us know what your thoughts are, what your suggestions are for a TV show that maybe we haven't seen as of late. But without further ado, it's time for James Bond.
Is it? All right, the kite on the tornado. I think I left this all up to you, because I could not bother with the stats for this movie. I think you said it cost more.
It did.
Than
All right.
Skyfall.
Are you ready? So listen, here's the stats.
Which is an MF and shame.
Release date North America was on November the 6th, 2015, which was 3 years almost to the day from Skyfall. Estimated budget, $245 to $300 million. If you remember, last week's Skyfall was $150 to $200. So an extra $100 million was spent making Spectre. The box office, though, did not do as well.
Who pocketed that?
Spectre did not do as well as Skyfall. Spectre took in over $1 billion. Skyfall took over $1 billion. Spectre hit $880.7 million. Not a bad number, but obviously it doesn't match what the movie before it did. The 24th James Bond movie, obviously the fourth, starring Daniel Craig, who took a massive, got a boatload of cash dumped onto they took the Brinks truck, they backed it up into his driveway, they dumped it out, and he agreed to sign on. Unfortunately, it only scored 63% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is the movie that was directed by Sam Mendes, who came back from Skyfall. In terms of location, it was filmed in Austria, UK, Morocco, Italy, and Mexico. So it goes back to Bond, jumping around, globetrotting around the world into these exotic locales. And they definitely play an important part throughout the story of this movie. And once again, was written by Purvis and Wade. And marks the return of Bond villain Ernst Stavro Blofeld, this time played by Christoph Waltz, who, by the way, celebrates a birthday today. So happy birthday, Mr. Waltz.
Happy birthday.
And Spectre, obviously the name of the movie, but the name of the organization. Again, another old school Sean Connery callback to the Bond of his era. So I got a couple little fun facts for you guys. The song Writings on the Wall was written and recorded by Sam Smith. It's the second Bond song to win an Oscar. Obviously stacked up against Adele's Skyfall. One could obviously successfully argue that Skyfall is a much better song.
Yeah.
Do you know, though, John, that Spectre actually has a Guinness World Record. It still maintains a world record, the title, the belt holder of the largest on-screen explosions. You know, Blofeld's lair, when they exploded that, they used 2,223 gallons of fuel. So it actually holds the world record for the largest on-screen explosion. And during the train fight scene between Bond and Dave Bautista's Hinks, Daniel Craig actually broke Bautista's nose. So that is a little fun fact for you. And Craig apparently he ran off. He literally ran off set because he thought Bautista was going to kill him. And Bautista was just like, "It happens. Don't worry about it," and kind of reset it himself. So
he's a pro. He's a pro. Yeah, they do that in wrestling all the time.
This is Spectre. And 2 out of 3 of us enjoyed this movie.
I wonder who it is. I forgot to put tinfoil on my thumbnails because that was going to be my gag, but I feel like this movie didn't deserve the effort. So what do you want to do? Do you guys want to tell me why this movie is good?
No, I want to hear why you.
I don't hear why you think it's bad, because we're questioning your taste now, because you're just saying it's bad. But there's no context to why it's bad, so we need to know why. Can you carry on?
Okay, so it's definitely worse than Skyfall. I think you guys have to agree on that.
No, don't wait for us. Just continue with your ridiculousness. Go ahead.
My ridiculousness.
Yeah, please.
I'm trying to pinpoint exactly where it just doesn't hit me, but I think the opening was very good, like the whole Day of the Dead cinematography. Awesome. So when I first fired it up, I was like, okay, we got kind of Skyfall light. I'm sure I'm okay with this. But it didn't. The rest of the movie didn't quite have those shots that I wanted to see from Spectre. I know the exotic locations maybe factor in there. I think it actually is mostly the plot that killed me on this one. So you mentioned at the top of the show, or top of the introduction, that there's a whole bunch of original James Bond callbacks, like the Spectre organization, this Blofeld character, and things like that. I feel like that, like, and when we got into the tier list, I do have the tier list. If you guys want to do that later, if we don't even have to bother with it, but I feel like the whole idea that this character has been, organizing all these things, it kind of made me not like Skyfall as much. I'm like, how it felt like a stretch that all of a sudden this guy was like, oh, I set up this guy, I set up this rogue dude that came back after cyanide capsuling his own jaw and it wants revenge on M and this personal thing. I actually orchestrated that. I felt like that was a huge stretch, and it was almost like a Fast and the Furious movie where they just started throwing things in. Like all of a sudden, Dominic's got a brother. All of a sudden, they find this half burnt up picture from Skyfall conveniently. Like, how did anything survive Skyfall burning down? By the way, that had like just this Photoshop picture of his father and like another person off the end. Like, how convenient or how silly is it to start adding that? And then I didn't like the action as much. The action wasn't I feel like is well done. The car chase, those are some hot cars, but it didn't hit as hard as like compared to Quantum of Solace. The intro for Quantum of Solace was, I thought, better done than this car chase. And then I don't know. You guys would really have to, like. There's a lot of little things that I could pick at, but I think it is mostly the overall plot. So maybe if I was an old school Bond head, maybe there's something that I'm missing.
Okay,
that I don't care about this.
Rob, would you like to first comment, or shall I?
Go ahead, buddy. You're our guest on the show. You go right ahead.
I think, John, when you talked about tolerating Fast 9, the Fast and Furious movies, I don't understand why you give that one as much leeway, and the Bond one you're like, whoa, slow down here. Logic would dictate. How would that fire? Meanwhile, Dom just jumped off a bridge, not a scratch on him, and took out a bunch of people with a pipe, and then jumped in the water and was saved. How? Like, again, he probably does more Bond things a la Pierce Brosnan and some of the old Bonds than even Daniel Craig has ever done. Daniel Craig doesn't do goofy, like, random, stunts like Vin Diesel does. So I tried to wrap your logic around how that works.
No, but the thing is, they set up Skyfall, and we discussed this a little bit, I think, before we started the Skyfall episode, that I like this and even Rob's mentioned the realer take on 007, right? So Craig is not perfect, but it seemed like he was this character that always would get the mission done. He had like kind of like a like, oh, you know what? So the girl died, but maybe he was focused on completing the mission. So I really like that aspect, but I didn't get any of that feeling from this movie for some reason. I don't know what it was. So I do want to hear why you guys think it is
No, I think
good.
from that first set piece in Mexico on Day of the Dead, the cinematography, the tracking shot is incredible. So that again, just starting from there and then building upon the fact that M immediately goes, Bond, what are you doing? All of a sudden, you kind of set up the path that Bond is going rogue. Then Moneypenny is like, what are you doing? Shows the video of M, and again, nice cameo from Dame Judi Dench, and sets up this whole thing that there might be a secret organization. There's something going on that we're not aware of. And then that's when Bond does what Bond traditionally does: is jet set to a wonderful, beautiful location, jet sets to a beach somewhere, does something, and then that goes to the next place. It wasn't a volcanic cavern or an undersea base, but it essentially was traveling the world in exotic locales and solving a mystery, which is what is happening. So for again, Rob and myself who love Doctor Who, a lot of the shows, and you can kind of see the path of this movie is, if you were watching the other movies, it rewarded you for saying, okay, all these people are now interconnected. There's a method to the madness. It's not all just convenience that they've shown up. And it's not dissimilar to what's happening in some of the Fast and Furious movies, where all of a sudden all these characters are all together now. Why? Because they're trying to make this shared universe.
But Skyfall is a better movie than the Fast.
Yeah, but that's not the argument. Is
it's hard for me to go back. You know what I mean? So Skyfall is the
Fast
movie.
Five is the best Fast and Furious movie, but yet you continue to go back for 6, 7, 8, 9. So you can't make that argument like, oh yeah, well Fast Five is the best Fast and Furious movie, period. And you and I can both agree on that. Doesn't mean you can't detract you from watching other Bond movies. So you can't go into it thinking, well, it's nothing's going to match up with Skyfall. This is a separate, independent film that brings in some of the nuances. It builds the relationships with Q and Moneypenny, and even with the new M, show what kind of where they are in that relationship. It gives you the underground bunker for new MI6 is located. There are small nuances in this film that if you watch, it's fantastic. Even the relationship with Q, like, he does so many more fun things. This one, he goes in the field, which he doesn't like doing.
Yeah, so that part I did like. I was like, oh, I thought he was totally gonna get like owned or captured, or whatever. But he proved that he can kind of get out of the situation, and I love.
And it shows the level of trust that they have, because when they put the smart blood in, Bond is like, I need some, and then Q's like, okay, 24 hours. He's like, and he looks, he's well, since it's new, it could be 48, and then Bond smiles. Like, that's the relationship building that you know and love from all the previous Bond films that are now being displayed in this one, because you couldn't have that in the last one because Q, they just met. So now you see this relationship building between Q and all the rest of the MI6 agents who truly depend on each other in life and death situations. And Leah Severo was a really good Bond heroine. She has depth to her. She is a daughter of a Spectre agent, and it's really hard to replace Ava Green and Vesper as a love interest. But you really feel that she's not just a girl that Bond is like, okay, we're cool. Disposable. This is something that could mean something more, and we already see the trailer for the next one. They're still together, so that's big for Bond. You typically don't see Bond with the same girl in multiple movies.
Never.
So the fact that she's in a second one speaks the volume of how much he values her relationship and what she did in that movie, because she did stuff in this movie that was great. But Rob, continue on. I was rambling on for a while.
So here I'm going to actually make some concessions to maybe bolster a little bit of John's point. The smart blood with the nanites, I think, is ridiculous. I think that you don't need that. I think they use it to counterbalance the real world issues that we're dealing with surveillance, knowingly and unknowingly. When M says you're eavesdropping and surveilling MI6 agents, and C, Max, they call him C, says We're listening to everybody. That's real world. Like that shit's happening right now. So I don't know why you needed the smart blood. I thought it was a bit of a wonky plot device that wasn't needed. I also, as much as I'd love having Ernst Stavro Blofeld come back, I love seeing Spectre. I love knowing that there's an organization. And while, John, you're fixating on the fact that it was Blofeld that put all these people into place as an organization, they were all serving a higher purpose of this organization. So even though he's the head of Spectre, it wasn't like, I don't think you can infer that he was saying to Silva, okay, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. I think they were serving a greater purpose. That being said, I don't think they needed to have him have such a strong personal connection to Bond in the younger years. Like, I think that was far-reaching. I don't think you need to have it. The idea of Spectre and then Blofeld being the head of that is that you have this criminal organization that its sole purpose is to own and cause chaos and destruction in the world subtly. And that is scary and dangerous enough. You don't need to have that personal connection. So for those aspects, I think that it was too far-fetched. I understand.
I think if they at least cut Silva from his plan, then I would have definitely believed it more.
I think if you have I just lost my train of thought. I think that when on watching it, I can see that people would say that it's a little bit slow because it is more plot heavy at times. But that being said, what this does is that Casino Royale gave us a reboot of a character with very little familiarity to what had come before on purpose. Quantum of Solace is a bit of a hot mess on its own, but combined with Casino Royale, it's one great movie, right? With a B-side. You know what I'm saying? Like an album back in the 60s with a B-side. You have Skyfall,
like
which was
like an hour and
right,
long
sure.
epilogue.
So then you have Skyfall, which was, hey, we are building upon the blocks of the last 50 years and what has come before. Spectre is the first one to then say, we're accepting the mantra of what James Bond is. Q Branch is now way more invested, as opposed to just getting a gun with a DNA grip. You've got the cars, you have the exploding watch, you have other gadgets, you have Q on location, as Stu said. You have a train fight scene, which kind of is reminiscent and a throwback idea to From Russia with Love. You have Bond in any of these Daniel Craig movies has never visited a snowy locale, but if you look at almost every other James Bond movie,
isn't there a Bond movie where there's skiing at the beginning?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. That's the one with Roger Moore, and then he goes off the cliff and he pulls the chute, and it's the and I want to say that might be Octopussy. But so James Bond has visited snowy locales. I mean, he was doing that even on Her Majesty's Secret Service, like going down the hill, firing off the machine gun. So it was hitting a lot of these points of what Bond does. The Madman's secret lair. It wasn't in a volcano, as Stu said. It wasn't underground. It was in the desert in Morocco. So this really did put its foot back into the shoe mold of what James Bond has been before, but did so with a plot that showed, hey, these are all interconnected. That Bond has been played. You can't have a secret organization just pop up out of nowhere. You have to be able to show that it's earned its respect and earned its place as being an organization behind the scenes, and by connecting it to all these other movies, including Silva, including Mr. White, and everything else that's happened, and Le Chiffre, and then it shows that Spectre is a force to be reckoned with. If we believe that MI6 is one of the greatest good guys agencies out there, then you have to have something that's going to counterbalance that. And that would be Spectre. And the only way to do that is to show it's been behind everything. So I really think that this movie doesn't get the credit it deserves, because I do think when you watch it once, you're like, holy shit, this is like a long movie and it's tiring and slow. But if you watch it again, you pay attention to its nuances, you start to respect a hell of a lot more out of this movie.
Yep. Yeah. And no disagreeing. Like, if you are someone who watches British television, the moment that Andrew Scott shows up on screen, you're like, oh, like, oh, like I love Andrew Scott, but if you watch Sherlock, you know his Moriarty, and you're like, oh, you're the bad guy. Like right off the bat, when I watched this movie with my wife, I turned around, I was like, he's the bad guy,
Bad
right?
guy.
Like,
Yeah, he's not.
it's like it's too, it's too bang on that you knew a moment you saw him, you're like, oh, he's the bad guy. So there was, I think, as much as I love Andrew Scott and I enjoy his performances, what hurts the movie is that he's the guy that's so obviously the bad guy that it would take you out of it because you're like,
I felt he was very underutilized though. He seemed like he was pretty good. Like he had something going on.
He is good, but the problem is
charisma wise, but they didn't really use him for anything.
It's hard because he plays he already played such an iconic character in a previous television series, or if you watch Sherlock, that you're like, oh, this is the thing. So it is difficult. But there's the question. I
don't want to know actually.
Yeah, and let's think. This is, I think, one of the first. I don't know if I could be corrected, but Leah has been in both a Mission Impossible movie and a Bond film. So this is one of those weird crossover spy movies.
Yeah, she's definitely been in a mission. I think it's on her IMDb. She's
Ghost Protocol. She was
not a major character. Yeah.
Wait, what are you talking about? Sorry.
She was the agent who fought them on the Dubai Tower that threw out the window. Bond's love interest.
Oh yes, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Madeline Swan, Leah. She fought them, and then she got thrown out the big fight sequence, and she got thrown out the window. So,
like, John, I understand. Like, there's a point, like when M tells him to kill that guy, the Italian guy, and then he goes and visits Monica Bellucci in Italy. Like, that
very
sequence,
awkward scene.
Well, but that sequence, it really doesn't, like, you could easily blow through that scene with exposition. You don't need, which turned out to be what, a 17-minute scene or a 15-minute scene about him in Mexico and something. Like, you don't really need that. So I get it. Like, and that's where there are flaws.
I don't think I have an issue with the pacing or the speed of the movie. I wasn't looking at my watch going, "Oh my god, this is taking forever." It's just literally I think it is the plot and maybe, I guess, the tropes, if you want to call them that. Like, the Madeline is like, okay, I gotta go, Bond, we can't do this together, and then she splits, and I'm like, instantly as soon as she does it, I'm like, is she just gonna get caught? Like, is this gonna be the typical thing that happens? And she obviously gets caught. Like, it's I don't know what it is, just something about the way the whole, especially the last portion of the movie was put together. I didn't like it. I don't know.
Well, the one nice thing, again, the thing about this, so like, I love the train fight scene with him and with Bond and Hinks. And the one thing that you always find in Bond movies is that he's not always the best fighter, right? There are many times in Bond movies where he's having his ass handed to him, and the only way he wins is by happenstance of somebody else doing something. And this happens in this one where Madeline shoots Hinks, and it throws him off a little bit, right? And then he's able to...
This is the Batista character, is Hinks.
Yeah,
right?
The Batista character, right, Mr. Hinks. And so, and he hooks, him onto the kegs, and off he goes. If it wasn't for her shooting him, that's it. He would have had his ass handed to him. Also, aside from Casino Royale, I mean, yeah, we can go Goldfinger, but it's very rare that Bond gets captured and is tortured, right? Goldfinger, yeah. I don't know if you have surround sound, but man, the sounds of those drills. Like, I know Sarah is a dental hygienist or dental assistant, but the sound of the drills, I was like, oh, my teeth are like, it was just so piercing. Like, it was terrifying having those going into his side of his head, man.
I wish Sarah was a dental hygienist, and then we could book you an appointment and get her to put you sleepy juice and you wake up. That would be funny.
That is a conflict of interest. No. Not at all.
That'd be the funniest thing ever. So what do you guys want to talk about your favorite action scenes then and break it down? Like,
how about we do this, John? Let's do your rankings of Daniel Craig movies, and we'll go back to this one. Let's go back.
Okay.
Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace.
Yeah. So at the top, just in order. I don't have to give them a rating out of 10 or whatever. So at the top is Skyfall. Like that's the movie that hooked me. That's got me on the internet looking up things I can't afford, like Omega watches and Tom Ford suits and stuff like that. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I'm all in. I want to. I think this is a cool take on James Bond. And then second place has got to be Casino Royale. Or I don't know, Casino Royale, right? Not Royale or whatever.
Yeah, Royale cheese.
Royale cheese, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm like, am I pronouncing it like the sandwich or whatever like that? And then third place has got to be No Time to Die, because nothing's gonna get. It's no way it's gonna be worse than these two films. And then I would rank. I started to rewatch it, and I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? I started to rewatch Quantum of Solace, and I think I'm actually probably gonna place it higher than Spectre, and I'm gonna put Spectre on the bottom.
Wow.
Because and it might be just because some of the opening action sequences. I liked the car chase at the opening of Quantum of Solace better than the Bond car chase with Batista, and I don't know where that was, the streets of wherever. But I haven't finished rewatching it, so maybe towards the end of the movie the whole thing.
Well, that was Italy. He was still in Italy at that point.
Yeah, but I would be hard pressed. Like, I don't know.
You didn't like that that car chase scene? I thought that was like, I thought it was hilarious when he was like, it was made for 009, and it was like atmosphere, and he hits it, and it was the music. It was like, it was Frank Sinatra, right? And he's like, nope. Like, I thought this shit was just funny, right? Like,
it's like, I like the cars. The cars look good, but for some reason, if you go back and watch the opening of Quantum of Solace, and I think
I know that scene.
It opens right into the car chase, and they're going crazy. They're going all over the place, and then the chase finally ends when James Bond realizes he has a gun in the car and shoots the guy off the cliff. And then the opening, then the 007 opening kicks in, which is cool. For some reason, this one just didn't hit. I do question why the gadgets on that DB10 look so ghetto. Yet they were able to fabricate.
Oh, you mean the
switches and stuff? I'm like, come on, like you don't have like
it wasn't done yet. They said it wasn't done, and that's why
it wasn't done yet. Yet he built up a DB5, the original, the other Aston Martin from a shell, for James Bond to take it like a couple days after.
But wait a minute, you're telling me a Ford Fiero could go into space and be with
I think a Ford Fiero has a better chance going. It's a Pontiac Fiero, by the way. Has a better chance flying into space than someone completely restoring a DB5 from just a shell of a car in time.
You have no idea how much money the British government has.
Why did those gadgets look so ghetto on the DB10?
It wasn't.
I think John, you're underestimating the budget capacity of MI6. There are people working nonstop.
That was one of the best scenes though, when Q made that joke and Bond didn't laugh at all. He's like, yeah, I told you to bring the car back in one piece, not bring back one piece. And then he laughs, and then I forgot who the guy is behind him, and the other guy on the team. Yeah, he just kind of like is like, oh, okay.
I don't know if I should laugh.
doesn't react at all, and you're like that. I thought that was good. So I do quite like that Q character. So
yeah. Okay, so Stu, how would you rank them? And I'm gonna say I can't fairly rank No Time to Die. Like, I know that.
I think we're all. I think this is
under the assumption that it's got to be better than those two.
I think it's got. I think mine and yours are pretty much. All of ours is slightly different. So mine is Skyfall, Casino Royale, Spectre, and then Quantum. And yours is probably Casino Royale, then Skyfall, then Spectre.
Because he's wrong.
And I will say this, Quantum of Solace isn't a terrible movie when you combine it with Casino Royale. But in and of itself, as an individual movie, it has so many faults that it's really hard to just watch it on its own because it is so tied to the events of Casino Royale. It literally picks up right.
This is the debate that people have all the time. Like, I used to say all the time, like, oh, I love Empire Strikes Back. It's my favorite one. But without Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back doesn't work. You need first one, then you watch the second one. So by default, Star Wars has to be the better one. It cannot be just like Bond. You just like without
by default.
It's over.
Yeah.
So
no, for sure.
Unlike The Godfather, of course. Godfather 1 is like, again, don't tell me Godfather 2 is your favorite movie because without Godfather 1, it doesn't even forget about it. So
never seen it.
So John,
Wait, what would you say, John?
Never seen Godfathers.
He's never seen them. It's okay. Like honestly, this is again. He called Fast 9 a masterpiece. He called Venom 2 a masterpiece. Like there's a lot of.
I called Fast 9 a masterpiece for jokes. Venom 2 is actually a masterpiece.
You're a piece of shit. What are you talking about?
It's a masterpiece.
This is his cue moment where it's like, oh, Venom's a masterpiece. Tee. And you're like, no, not funny.
So John, so there is nothing then that would warrant you to watch this movie again then.
I'm like, even if we go through the action scenes, right? Maybe the train fight with Batista or whatever you want to call him, hijinks or hinks.
Hinks.
Did they actually call him by that name in the movie though?
No, he was never referred to as.
Yeah,
Mr.
like
Hinks
he shows up at that meeting and pushes that guy's eyes in with his metal fingernails, and then you don't really know much about this character.
He only had one line. Do you know what his line was?
Yeah, when he gets pulled out of the train, he goes the S word, whatever, like. But yeah.
Yeah, he says shit, and that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't.
Because Sam Mendes thought he would be more menacing as a quiet, much like how Oddjob was in Goldfinger. He never spoke a line.
I think they screwed it up though. I think he's proven that he can handle a little bit of something, and I think that character needed a little bit more. And what was with the fingernails, Rob? You got to explain to me the fingernails. Like
every henchman needs a bit, needs something. The aforementioned, the aforementioned Oddjob.
Oddjob's a good guy, right?
Oddjob, he had a hat.
I think the greatest one was the Jaws. So like, why would they think that coming up with another thing along those lines, like he's got a metal jaw? Okay, give him. So is the next guy in No Time to Die gonna have a metal nose? And he like, I don't know what he would do.
Stop the bit. This is what happens when you have 25 James Bond movies where they have random bits and random jokes and villains who have the golden gun. That was the one thing too, which you love playing on N64. All these, or their hand was a claw, or whatever it is, like metal claws. Like that is the gimmick. Like a professional wrestler, like the Undertaker. This is his gimmick. He when he gets knocked down, he gets back up in a certain way. So these are the way to distinguish villains a little bit different and give them personality. So it just happened to be that Dave Bautista had fingernails that have some metal in them. So that's it. Like,
so I can't pinpoint exactly something that I would want to rewatch. Whereas in the comments, it's already been pointed out that opening scene in Quantum of Solace. I would definitely fire that. I'll probably after we finish here, I'll go fire up that scene and watch it again because that is a very cool scene. That is very.
I am very concerned that Sarah has mentioned she has the same taste as you, and she needs to watch Venom 2 this weekend. I'm very concerned.
You know what? I think Sarah's a great person, and she has actually questioned whether or not I actually like her. Of course I like Sarah. I just think that for her to align her taste in movies with John.
How do you say that, Sarah, when you love Shawshank? John's probably not even seen it before.
Hey, if I watch it, maybe that means I'll like it.
Yes, like I don't understand. Like,
who's in that movie? Morgan Freeman and.
Oh my God, Tim. Okay. Anyways, so
nonetheless, John, I think at the end of the day, your hang up is this Bond movie is not as good as the old Bond movie. You can't look at it that way.
I think the problem is, that Skyfall set my expectations so high, and watching this, basically the same week that I saw Skyfall, hurts it.
You know what I think it is, honestly, truly, Stu, is I think, and John, I'm not going to talk about you guys if you're not here, but I really truly think that John, having not watched wicked, having not watched a history of watching James Bond movies, to know, like, if you're just jumping into the series, I've watched one here or there, but you're like Skyfall, and then all of a sudden it's this one, like. There's ebbs and flows in Bond, and you have to take them all as they are. Some are really good, some are questionable, some are not good at all, and yet there's even the ones that are shitty.
You go Casino Royale, shit, Skyfall, shit. Like, so hopefully this next one's good, right?
But even the ones though that are kind of wonky, there's still a lot to enjoy. Like, I do not like A View to a Kill, Roger Moore's last movie with Christopher Walken. And yet there are still moments in that movie where I can appreciate it.
Is
right?
Christopher Walken in it? Yeah, that
he
sounds
is.
good.
I'm not a fan. And like the plot, honestly, you're talking about the plots. You got to go back and to find out like what the plots. A lot of these, like A View to a Kill, was all about. About Christopher Walken was buying up all the computer chips in Silicon Valley. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous, right?
That's
like,
awesome.
Right. So like there's a lot, like, there's a lot, even like, A View to a Kill, and in all fairness, and I'm not picking on him because he's not here, but Andre really likes Die Another Day, but those two are generally looked at as being like the worst of the James Bond movies, and yet there is still something to enjoy in each of them. So as much as you don't like this, I think if you were to actually were a Bond fan and you had watched some of the other ones, you don't need to watch all 24, but if you would watch some of the other ones, you could appreciate, I think, Spectre a little bit more for what it is, as opposed to just outright saying, I don't like it. Just be the same as when you watch the Mission Impossible movies. You could say, I like all of them, although I know that number 2 is probably the weakest of the entry, but there's still something I like about number 2. It's just not my favorite. You kind of have to look at it that way.
I think John has hit the magic algorithm based on Casino Royale being good, then Quantum of Solace being bad, Skyfall being good, Spectre being bad. So No Time to Die has to be good because it's on or off. So John, this is it, baby. You're gonna love this movie.
It's the Star Trek franchise movies, right? At the even number of Star Trek movies are better than the odd, number ones, right? So can I ask, John, I don't know if this was on you said you had 2 questions. One was, why is this movie so shit? I think we've proven that it's not. I don't know what your second question is because your first one was stupid, but is it about No Time to Die? Like, what are we looking for in No Time to Die?
Yeah, I think we might as well move on to that because I think I don't think there's anything else we can cover in Spectre. I think you guys arguing that it is a good movie might be a bit of a stretch because I know it is generally perceived as kind of middle, like maybe a little bit above average or something like that. I would say maybe it's not considered the worst.
Well, I'm
think
saying
it's in the argument, is it not, for the Daniel Craig movies? I'm pretty sure it's a neck and neck race between Quantum and Spectre of the worst.
Yeah, but when you only have four movies,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah. But there's only 4 movies, so right. that's maybe a moot point or whatever you want to call it.
To be 3 out of 4, okay.
Yeah. So I think like I don't think you're gonna be able to argue that Spectre is better than Skyfall.
We never said that.
Yeah.
That was never the argument. Your argument was this movie sucks. Argument, it doesn't suck. It's adequate.
And I will say,
not to say that's what it is. It's not bad movie. It's fine. But what you're saying,
I'll give it that. It's not like a terrible movie. Like you can still watch it. It does have a bad guy and it does go somewhere.
I would watch this one over Fast 9. I'll never watch Fast 9 again.
Yeah, me too.
That movie's the worst.
Yeah.
That's an absolute trash on fire.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing. Talk about action sequences don't mean anything. Like again, you talked about the action sequence. You have to have weight to them, and at least with this one, the scene in Mexico, which was awesome. It's like not that much going on, just him climbing on the side of a building, wearing that fantastic suit, bringing out the Uzi. You're like, oh wow, this is awesome. If you watch the Fast 9 movies, those are so boring. Like there's so much stuff going around, but there's not one thing you can remember from any of the action sequences.
I feel like this Bond movie is most compared to Fast and the Furious.
Can you name an action sequence in Fast 9 outside of the magnet car? Like that's it, and that was a gimmick because it was like it's the same thing if you're talking about Bond characters. Like, oh, remember that Bond character, the steel jaw? It's like, oh, remember that Fast movie where they had magnets on the cars? Other than that, there's nothing in that movie that stands out. Who was the bad guy? The bad guy was the gimmick was he was the brother to a character that can you believe he has a brother? So again, he might not have had a hat or metal in his fingers, but clearly he was, just same thing.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe my expectations coming from Skyfall were just too high. So this movie has been railroaded because of that. So yeah, let's talk about No Time to Die. Rob's already got 2 sets of tickets coming up this week. He's going to go back to back to back. Stu, what are you looking forward to seeing in No Time to Die? Are you looking forward to seeing the end of this Daniel Craig era?
I'm looking forward to this 5 movie put a button on it because that seems to be what it's about. I'm looking forward to the fact that part of the joy of old Bond movies, but also kind of got tiring, was they would use the same actors over and over, which was nice. It was kind of like a nice blanket, like, oh, cute. But as Rob mentioned a few times, he went from young to really old at the end. And Moneypenny as well. Moneypenny, like you said before, there was a flirtatious nature because they were the same age when they first started doing the Bond movies. By the end, she was like the grandma at the things, like, oh, let me help you, Bond. And then he was kind of flirting with her. And you're like, what's happening here? Like, that's a really old woman. So I'm happy, as much as I love, the man that shall not be named being M, I'm happy that when this is done, they can recast anyone, restart M, restart Q, do whatever, and then basically be in a new kind of relationship and do it, not be beholden to the fact that these 5 movies exist. So it's kind of like a nice soft reboot. They can do something completely different. You can set Bond at a different time period, make him younger, make him older, do whatever you want, and let it go.
Yeah, so I actually don't. I kind of hope that they keep M and Q and Moneypenny as they are right now, if they can get the next movie out and fairly quickly. But yeah, I mean, you can interchange it. I think there is something kind of nice about having Dame Judi Dench go from the Pierce Brosnan era and still, even though they literally did do a reboot with Casino Royale, they still brought her back on as M. I thought that was kind of cool. But for this movie, I'm looking forward to, yes, as Stu said, this is the finality of this overarching story plot that we have been watching that is no more relevant than it has been in Spectre, seeing it all tied together. I'm looking for that. Personally, what I want to see is I would like to, obviously, we've seen a lot of the action scenes. I want to see Blofeld escape because I want to see Blofeld be a formidable opponent for Bond in the future. Even if he's not on screen, the fact that he's still out there, I think...
Is he like James Bond's nemesis?
Yes.
Like, is that what... Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'd like to see that.
I think it's good. I don't think that's going to be the way, Rob. I think they're going to both ride off into the sun, and then just everything's going to be tidied up, and then the next creative team can do whatever they want.
But
so,
what I don't
even think they can bring back Christoph Waltz either.
Well, what I'd like, though, for the next Bond, whomever that is, that whatever happens, I'd like it to not be a thorough thread story. This has been the only time in the Bond cinematic universe, if you will, whatever, where something has carried on. As I've mentioned this before, only one plot line has ever carried over in a Bond movie, and it was buttoned up within the first 7 minutes of the next movie. So usually they're one and done, and that's why I said you can throw on any James Bond movie, regardless of who the actor is, and it's a complete story. There's never continuation. So I like that for Bond.
So how about this, Rob? I know you like that, but what if going forward all the Bond films are small trilogies? Like, if the next Bond comes in, they're like, we're going to guarantee 3. It's going to be connected 3 movies, and then that's done in a brand new Bond storyline, brand new everything, go a different direction. Would you be opposed to that, like this one, where they're interconnected? Because it motivates you to continue to watch these movies, because it's the Marvel method. Because if you don't, it's a one-off like DC. Well, I don't like this character. Why am I watching it? I'm good.
Well, but 50 years of Bond movies has proven that, or 50 plus years now has proven that you have 25 movies under your belt. I think it's fairly, 20 of those movies have never been interconnected, and I think it's fine. So I don't.
Yeah, but they didn't make the $1 billion that Skyfall, Casino Royale,
right? But they weren't widely. Anyways, so but yeah, so that's what I want to see. I'm very much looking forward to this. I'm very excited. I'm hoping that we'll find an opportunity to be able to review it at some point in the next. Within the week or so, because I am stoked to see it. I'm very looking. I'm happy Craig's done. To be honest with you, he's looking quite long in the tooth. It's been almost 20 years, right? So, but before we move off of Bond. John, have you heard about the James Bond Doctor Who theory?
No.
There is a theory out there.
I brought it up to you, Rob. Your mind was blown when I told you.
Yeah, was it you who brought it up to me?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so I mean, I guess I'm cribbing.
Keep in mind, I know less about Doctor Who than I do about James Bond.
Well, there's a theory that James Bond is actually a Time Lord, because that's why he keeps regenerating, and that's why all of the actors in the previous James Bond, like the Moneypenny, M, Q, have all been the same, is because Bond has died off screen and regenerated into a new actor. So it's a little food for thought for those who are in the
Prestige
chat.
or whatever you call it.
Yeah, I heard that from Chris Hardwick.
Yes. Yeah.
And he talked about it. So then when I mentioned to Rob on a podcast, his eyes blew up because I know he loves Doctor Who too. So it was Rob was like, his eyes went open. He's like, this is a great idea. So yeah.
So that's James Bond. That is Spectre. I want to thank everybody who, again, maybe you didn't watch it. Maybe you've been jaded because John has been pissing all over social media all this week about how shitty he thinks the movie was. That's fine. But if you did have an opportunity to watch it, I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't, if you think that Stu and I may have turned your opinion on it, you can still catch them on Crave. All the movies are on there. Hey, you reach out to Stu or I or in the comment section on YouTube. Let us know if you need a suggestion for a good Bond movie. I'll throw a couple out there. Before, the last thing I want to say is it was very interesting that they took a lot of this stuff that came from the Connery era, nothing from the Roger Moore era of Bond. But we're going to be talking about next week. In the next few weeks, we are in the midst of All Hallows Eve. The scary season is upon us. And we've had a lot of people requesting that we do horror-themed movies for the next few weeks. So
John hates horror movies. This is the best.
I know. So
this is not my genre.
I have a movie I'd like to request. That's not a scary movie, but I'll wait till after. I want John to watch this movie because I don't think he's ever watched this before. So we might have to squeeze it in October. Rob will. I'll be interested to see. Rob will be on board. It's one of the greatest movies of all time. So,
if you mean Fern Gully,
no.
Is that got Bruce Willis in it?
That is the four facsimile of Avatar, the first one, the one that's really Fern Gully. So thank you very much.
So I was actually looking to what I had sent to John, but we're picking a movie that I think, and here's what I sent him a message to John.
Hocus Pocus! Yes, baby!
I said there are definitive movies, horror movies, that helped shape pop culture, and I think that this movie did that for horror movies afterwards. We're picking Scream, the 1996 Wes Craven.
1996.
You picked that up, did you? We're picking Scream because you know what, Stu? I need to get a movie that John could potentially watch. It's got all the tropes that he likes. It's a teen movie. It's not overly scary for him because I know that he might have an issue with a loss of bladder control.
You couldn't go Monster Squad? That is the movie you got to go.
We're going Scream. It is currently airing on Crave or on Amazon Prime. You know what? We're going back to Scream. It's been a while since I've seen. I went and saw it in the theater, and it's going to be a bit of going back. Oh, shut up! Look at this. Lewis is saying,
"Everyone, thank you, chat." I'm saying, yeah. See, Monster Squad is the movie that John. Have you watched Monster Squad, John?
I haven't watched Monster Squad. I was saying Ghostbusters. I was saying we should watch Ghostbusters again.
That movie. No, John. No, because you got to pick a movie you haven't seen, man. We got to push you to your limits.
He's never seen Scream. Do you understand the impetus of why I'm saying Scream?
Yeah, but that movie, compared to Monster Squad, come on, man. Monster Squad's the best.
It is Scream, because I'm just looking up. I don't even think Monster Squad's playing anywhere.
I think Monster Squad is on Amazon Prime.
It is not. It is gone from Amazon Prime.
Just
not available to stream. So we have to find a movie that's available to stream. So we are doing Scream. It is 1996. I again, for those in chat who are like, I don't want to watch it. This is shit. I don't know. When was the last time you saw it?
Oh, Lewis, The Frighteners. Good one. That's a great movie. Good call.
Oh, the first Peter Jackson movie, right? Frighteners with Michael J. Fox.
And Jeffrey Combs. Wyum or The Question from
See, this is the problem, is that everybody, we're looking at all of these different movies, Freddy versus Jason, Event Horizon, The Strangers. We can go on and on. This is the problem, is that there are so many of these movies that we only have a couple of weeks to do this. So we're just going to pick a couple of movies. Next week's going to be Scream. Don't worry, we're not doing Scream 2 after that. We'll pick something else. Let us know something that you would like to watch. Can
you do the new Scream movie? I'd like you guys to watch the new one. Is that coming out soon? Yeah, they're doing a reboot of it with the Courtney Cox.
I think I remember hearing that. Yeah, she's gonna. Is Courtney Cox in the original? I don't even remember who's in the normal.
She is in the
The
original.
original.
Yeah.
I want to say Nev Campbell's in the original.
That's correct.
Yep, that's true.
There's that one.
Is Paris-
Skeet
is Paris-
Ulrich
Paris
is in that
Hilton?
one, as well as Drew Barrymore and Drew Barrymore. And then who else is in that movie?
The guy who played Shaggy, what was his name?
Matthew Lillard.
Matthew Lillard, yeah.
Matthew Lillard.
Yeah.
There's a good bunch of actors in that one, and then Mr. Arquette himself, who was a
Is Sarah
WWE.
recommending Human Centipede? Because hell no, am I watching that? Hell no. But we're
that
gonna
gives an indication of
let's
what-
have some fun, folks. Let's talk Scream, and we'll also talk about other horror movies, and we'll kind of maybe we'll see what we want to do in the following week. I don't know if we want to do a whole week of horror. Do we want to do a whole month of?
There's a whole month of horror. What do you mean a whole
Do we want
month?
to go all of October?
Well,
That's
we
what
only-
Halloween is.
Right, but John, I mean, I hate to tell you, pal, but we only have 1, 2, 3, and then the 31st is Monday.
Yeah.
So we have 3, maybe 4 movies at most. November 1st would be the last horror movie. So you have 4 movies, bud. It's it's not that many. Conjuring. We'll throw that in there, John. Really scare the shit out of you.
We gotta pick like The Exorcist or something. Really go back.
I feel
Lost
like,
Boys.
I feel like
The
Evil
Lost
Dead.
Boys.
Evil Dead 2 should be on the list. 'Cause I've
You're an
never seen
idiot.
that.
No.
No.
Lost Boys.
Evil Dead not a classic. Lost Boys. Is that with Kiefer Sutherland?
That's correct. Yeah.
And
Why
Jason
not Hook?
Patrick.
Why not Hook?
Because that's not a horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
This is I love this. This is great. John is really struggling with this horror movie. This is great.
Not my genre. So it's Clerks 2. Did Lou just threw Clerks 2 is a horror movie? Is it that bad?
No, it's not. It's actually quite fun.
The Shaun of the Dead I've seen. I like Shaun of the Dead.
That's
but
not
okay.
horror. That's pure comedy.
Is it
That's a
pure-
zombie film. That's a horror zombie film. Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead's not scary. It's a comedy. It's part of the Cornetto trilogy. Like it's not that's ridiculous. That's like saying Clerks 2 is a scary movie. It's not.
Well, it's a horror
That's what I'm
comedy. I agree with Sarah. There's elements of horror. It's a zombie movie first and foremost with some comedy sprinkled in it.
Well, but it's not meant to be scary. This is again. So we did this back when we did the 80s. We had to eliminate certain things. Is it an 80s movie? 80 action, 80s sci-fi are all different. Horror has so many subgenres. You could do Saw, but then that's like porn horror, right? Or horror porn, whatever they call it. Like where do you go? Do you want to do the scary horror? Do you want to do the lighthearted Ghostbusters monster, whatever, Monsters Inc. or whatever the hell it was that we were just talking about? Like
Monsters Inc.
like there's all like the Monster Squad. Like there's all these others, but I really truly think that Scream helped change the horror movie genre. It came out with what I did last summer, Final Destination, even Halloween redid Halloween with H2O, following in the footsteps of what Kevin Williams did with Scream. Like that's why I think that Scream is important to the horror movie genre. Whether or not you would put it up there in the upper echelon, it did reshape the modern day horror movie that for about a decade and a half, almost 2 decades. So I think it's important to point out.
Yeah, well, I am on Netflix right now looking at their horror Halloween section, and there are many options. But yes, if John's never seen Scream, then I can't say anything wrong about that one. Although, can you throw in Beetlejuice with maybe week 2? Could you Beetlejuice?
It's not scary.
It's Halloween.
No, it's not.
It's
It's not a
Halloween.
Halloween movie. No, we're talking horror. Like my wedding video horror. Like, come on.
This guy.
Wow. I think we have just different definitions, man. These are Halloween movies. We can just pick a Halloween. You guys should pick a Halloween movie. So, anyways, clearly I'm trying to fight for you, John, to help you out. Halloween movie's fun.
It's fine. We'll open with Scream, and then we'll have time to talk about the next movie on the docket, and we'll let everybody influence us a little
Rob,
more.
Scream has jokes in it too, but yet you count it as a horror movie. It's not that scary.
No. But you're right. But I'm just saying, yes. That's why I thought this was an easy entry for John, because it has that can't hardly wait, You know, type of.
Well, then why don't you just go full scary movie then? Like if you're gonna go that, go.
No, because that's a parody. That's like saying, hey, let's not watch Top Gun. Let's just watch Hot Shots. So,
dude, Hot Shots Part 2, that movie is fantastic. That's a great movie. Hot Shots Part 2, where he dips his hand into the
gummy bears
and things.
Yeah. So with that, John, I guess we're done, right?
I think we are.
This
I think
week's?
we are like
Right.
a kite in a hurricane. We out.
Yeah. I want to say thanks everybody in chat for joining us. Thanks to Stu for joining on the team of good, on the team of Bond. I'm not sure if John is intending to watch No Time to Die, but if not, maybe Stu and I will do a special review on the Heroes World podcast.
I'm gonna watch it. I hope it's of Skyfall level. That's what you guys.
But this is the problem:
where
is
I've
that
been
you can't keep that as your barometer because that's not how James Bond works, pal.
So wait, when we watch Dune, John, are you gonna rate Dune to Skyfall?
No, because unless James Bond is in Dune, is James Bond in Dune?
No, but Hanks is.
It is correct. That is correct. So we go to Dune. Is it like, well, it has to rate next to Dune? No, this is a movie upon itself. Or when you watch The Eternals, do you gauge it to your favorite
But
movie?
you're telling me to watch it's all these Daniel Craig movies were linked. Do you argue against that? Yeah.
No,
So
they're like, yeah.
yeah. So obviously, I'm going to compare it to the strongest link of the chain, right? So
But I would just.
But when we talk about the Marvel movies, all of them are linked and connected, and you constantly we're rating them compared to the other Marvel movies. Eventually, at this point you just gotta enjoy a movie for what it is. You can't go based on the one time the movie was better than the rest of the other movies. It's there's now almost 25 Marvel movies. Same thing as you've seen with Bond, except for somehow you've seen all the Marvel movies and missed most of the Bond movies.
We'll have to see when No Time to Die comes out if it ends up being like another Spectre. But I think the reviews have already come back better.
Hey, listen, it made 119 million in its opening weekend overseas. That is not chump change. That's huge for overseas.
So are you saying box office is indicative of a good movie?
But
because you just made that argument.
I'm saying it made a lot of money for overseas, especially, right? So I think that the word is very good. So I'm excited. But anyway, we've gone on long enough.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody for in chat. Thanks everybody. Thanks to Stu. Thanks to John. Thanks to all of you. Please listen to the Heroes World podcast on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. Tune in on Thursday for Hey, What I Missed with John and myself as we try to hold some semblance of sanity together with Chris and Pat, who have no clue what's going on. Andre, I think, has got his book club dropping, I think it's on Friday. And next Sunday, we'll be doing the What If, episode 9. What if the show just went away forever? And we look forward to
It's going to come back for a season 2.
I know. I'm not watching it.
Rob, just like Night Court, we can't escape it. It's come back, baby.
I want to watch that.
I'm going to watch it too. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate your time. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.